is going on, everybody? And today's Tuesday. You know that this is about minding my business, where every single episode we bring on a powerhouse guest to help you elevate your business, your mindset, and your life. This is a platform. We love our men coming here to support us, but this is a platform really for women to help elevate other women looking to build mental strength, mental resilience, and just boss up in their lane so that they can really thrive in their life. So today, I'm excited to bring on one of my dear friends, but also a boss that's mastering her own lane, Jennifer. And I see that she's on right now, so let me invite you up. Hello, beautiful lady. So for those of you that do not know, Jennifer is a real estate investor. She's also puts on events recently with Michael Newell on Learn to Build. I was just at that event. It was amazing. You did a phenomenal job. Very impressive. Yes. Also property manager for over 300 homes, event and brand director, managing real estate broker, and amazing mother, woman, friend.
I love it.
You name it.
Thank you so much.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything else that
I'm just
with all those
serial
back end
entrepreneur.
things?
I'm always into something, so I'm open to any opportunity.
Yeah. And for those of you that did not know, Jennifer had run Ballroom Dance Studios, and so that's literally how we fell in love in our friendship. Is she asked me to dance, and she was an amazing dancer. Nobody else could dance, and I'm just sitting there sad, and here she comes up, this beautiful woman. She's like, would you dance? And I was like, oh my gosh.
True story.
And then found out, and then found out that you actually, no wonder you thrive in this area, because you were able to transition your success of running a company beforehand and then just pivoting it into the next. So what, if you don't mind me asking, got you into real estate
on a whim? So yeah. I used to love watching all the flipping shows, and as I was going through my career with ballroom dancing, I started with one franchise and then it grew to three. And every time we would build out our studio, we'd have the different contractors, right? We'd design it. And then we started having other franchisees ask us, you know, who are we using? Who did our floor? Who did this? I'm like, you know, I really think that I could flip houses, right? I kind of understand the construction process, very good at organizing people where they need to be. And it was something that I just kept tossing around. And then a friend of mine said, you know, you should just get your real estate license. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? So I still owned my franchises at the time. And I took the course, got my license. And I didn't want to just jump into flipping. I wanted to learn what real estate was, right? I wanted to learn all of it. I didn't want to just go and start buying houses. I wanted to understand the whole process. So I looked for someone with a lot of experience, and I found a woman that had been in real estate for 33 years. And I said, I want to work under you. I'll do whatever it is. I'll follow you around, but I want to learn from you. And it was a humbling experience, because I'm coming from owning franchises, managing a team of 14 full-time staff, no one really telling me what to do, but it was excellent for me to have that experience, because I learned so much from her in a short amount of time. So what takes people maybe 5 years to learn or 10 years to learn, I learned in 1 year of being her, you know, under her, having her mentor me. And she was very, very busy, but I would just follow her around. I'm like, you're going on a listing appointment? I want to go. You're going? Oh. And she was like, oh my gosh, you're everywhere, Jennifer. I'm like, well, I want to learn this business so that when I purchase something, I understand. I want to do my own evaluation of the property. I don't want to trust anybody else. I want to know how I'm going to sell it. I want to know, you know, the buyer process. So I really wanted to know all the ins and outs. And that led me to a very successful first project. My first flip was, I bought it, completed it in 45 days. I think the whole process took us less than 4 months. So, and we made six figures on that first flip. So,
Oh,
having that education was really worth it.
yeah. And I think the biggest thing too is people don't realize like you're never gonna know until you have the experience. So you can go and study all the courses, regardless of whatever like your industry is, but it's never going to like you're never gonna know or have that experience until you like put yourself in the trenches where you actually have to do it and learn along the way. And you're making it sound like it's such a smooth process. And one of the reasons why I love this show is we get to talk about like when we face plant and some of the strategies that you're able to build that mental resilience and that mental strength. So when you were, in this process of, changing one career to the next, because there's a lot of people that don't feel fulfillment in their current career, what was it that, what would be like a success strategy for like a mindset of letting go of the ego? Like you mentioned, like you were able to just go from leadership to then being mentee.
Interesting question. I think for me, I don't ever try to reinvent the wheel, right? So I know that there's always someone that's done it and they've done it better, or they're doing it right now. So I want to learn from them, and I want to try to eliminate as much failure as possible. Of course, we're going to fail and there's going to be hiccups, but when you have a roadmap from someone else, it just makes that process that much smoother. I had plenty of failures, and I can go into any of those, but I think just having that roadmap, and just saying, hey, you know what, let me be humble, let me learn, and be in that space of learning, and being receptive to just getting the information that they're giving you, whoever's mentoring you.
What were some of like the key components like when you did during this like the journey of even the growth in the next level? Because I know that you're always striving. One thing that I really admire, I mean, there's a lot that I admire about you, but one of them is like you're constantly like getting better. You're constantly positioning yourself in spaces for your growth, even though you don't feel comfortable, even though you don't feel confident maybe in that moment, you still push forward. And what is more of like the mindset that you have, like, or that inner dialogue when maybe you're not feeling so confident, but you do it anyway? Because a lot of people
I've gotten
that stops them.
Comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense, right? So I know that things are going to feel bad. I know that it's going to be hard, and it's going to be challenging and awkward, and I have to let go of my ego in many situations, and I know this. So my mindset is, always it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be hard, but I push through, and I'm always having that self-talk of this is part of the process. And as long as you stay the course and you keep consistent, you'll get to where you want to go. Consistency for me, has proven itself over and over. If you don't even have to be that talented, but if you outwork everyone around you and you stay consistent, you really can do almost anything.
Yeah. What would you say like some of your non-negotiables are? I know like you're very active. You're always posting your stories that you're like getting your CrossFit in. Sometimes we'll go dancing together. What are some of your non-negotiables as far as like your routines or your rituals that really help you be prepared for whatever obstacle or challenge that you're going to face in your day with work?
Working out for me is definitely like a non-negotiable, right? So that's pretty much every day, first thing in the morning, I work out, right? I set the night before, I always set up what my next day is going to look like. I never go in blind, right? So every night I plan out what am I doing for this next day. I write out a to-do list, and I always have a game plan. I start off every morning with what I'm grateful for. So I say a prayer for all the things, that I'm grateful for, my children, where I live, being healthy, all the list goes on and on, right? So I start with gratitude. And then another huge thing is who I spend my time with. I don't negotiate on that. Like, if you are not a positive influence in my life, If you are someone that's bringing any form of negativity, you just really can't be in my circle. And it doesn't mean I can't love you from afar, but me being successful really depends on that, on who I have around. And it's, I've worked too hard to let anyone take me off track. So that's another huge non-negotiable.
Have you noticed, like, 'cause speaking about that, typically I'll ask that later, but I think it's a good transition. But like when it comes to like friends or even family, sometimes family are the people where you're just like, oh, I just can't. Like, I'm trying so hard. What would you say, like, are some pivotal things with like core values of people that you look for in your inner circle? And how do you know when it's time to
I think for
let
core
go?
values, it's people that are authentic, that are, genuinely good, and they care about the people around them. They know how to put other people before themselves, generous. I definitely, I mean, yeah, just good people, good-hearted people. You're
Me?
one of my best friends.
I mean, it's gonna be fun too. So it's not just like,
I think, where are they going in their life? What are their goals? Are they working towards anything? What value do they add? And it doesn't have to mean that they add value in a business sense, right? But when I speak to them on the phone, are we uplifting each other? Even if maybe they're not an entrepreneur, that's okay. But do they add value in some way?
Yeah.
Because I try to add value always to the people that I love, right? So I really want to get that back.
Yeah. I know when we went to this event, like, because we both have such limited time with all the projects and stuff like that. But one thing that I know you and I were talking about was like, isn't this actually fun? Like being around, meeting new people that have like more expanded mindset than us, and we're like kind of doing it together. And like when there's an event, you invite me. When I have an event, I invite you, and it's nice because we can spend time together and catch up and still like do something
and I have
productive.
to say, so I'll share something personal with you guys. Saturday, Sunday, I was kind of in a funk, right? So we all go through that, right? We go through these funks, right? Where we're kind of like, and that's how I was feeling. I was feeling a little bit down. And you texted me. She texted me actually Saturday night, and we had been planning to go see Brian speak, a friend of ours. And, she reminded me, and she was like, are you coming? And for a moment, I was like, I don't know. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to go. And it turned into this incredible day. We went to watch Brian speak, which was, Brian was phenomenal. We went over to Miami, and we got to see one of the sharks from Shark Tank speak. That was David. That was incredible.
Damon John.
I got to see Katie K, who's like my new, like, I'm totally fanning on her. She's like my new girl crush. Like,
love her.
30-something years old and a billionaire and a woman, and oh my gosh. So that just goes to show though, like how crucial your circle is. If you weren't in my circle and you didn't push me on that day, just the way I've pushed you on other days to go out, you didn't push me on that day to go out, I wouldn't have had this incredible experience that whole day. And I made a bunch of great new contacts. I'm actually DMing with Katie K, right? I'm like, Katie K, what can I do to be around you? I just want to be in your presence. She's like, we'll work it out. So just having the right people in your circle open up so many doors, and it's always going to push you to the next level. My success is 1,000% about the people that I've surrounded myself with. I give so much credit to that, the connections that I have. I have an amazing, group of people around me.
Yeah. And I mean, and you've been there for me too in moments where I was, I was in the process, they call them like, I was just going through so much trauma, and it just like knowing that people are there to like, hey, like invite you, being invited to things where you don't need to sit and talk about your problems, but to shift you out of that mindset to be in a different environment, to remind you of like, hey, let's get moving forward again. Yeah, that's fun though.
Katie
Um,
K. Oh my God.
Katie K. I know we're both. I
So
hope
inspiring.
she sees us. Katie K. You guys go follow her. Tell her we were like fangirling
She
her.
said, my
She's our
favorite
new
thing she said was
wifey.
broke plus broke equals broke. Right? I was like, yes, that's, you know?
But I think that even means more than just your finances. It's like your spirit, your mindset, your like what conversations are you having? Like that's the reason why I created this podcast, because I wanted to get to meet and even heal my relationship with women and know, like, to be proven every single week how amazing women like yourself are, and to get to celebrate you and get to like learn about you and what you're going, and for you to reintroduce yourself, because you're different and on different ventures than when you and I
Absolutely.
met a year ago.
I'm
And
proud of
so,
you too.
yeah, I'm so proud of you. Okay. This is about you, enough about me. What would you say, like in days, like you mentioned one tip about being around friends and like just somebody inviting you somewhere productive for an event, but like what are some tools where you feel like you are self-sufficient in, that when you're feeling low or you're doubting yourself or you're feeling discouraged or you're feeling weak, that you use to like get you up and running, that you can, if people are listening and maybe they're in a funk right now that they don't have a Tanya, but don't worry, you guys always have a Tanya and a Jen, just send us a message. But if you don't have positive people and maybe they're in a transition, what are some tools that you think are really powerful to help you kind of like snap out of it or get back up when you
Meditation
fall
for me
down?
has been huge. And, there's a lot of, I think, confusion around what meditation is and the different types of meditation. I do a lot of visualization. And that really helps me tremendously. I'm always, visualizing, where I'm going to be in 10 years, where I'm going to be in 20 years. But it's not just like, it's like a picture in my head. I can see myself and I can see where I am and my kids and all of these things, you know, are there for me. And meditation has been huge for that. That, has really helped me with that. So whenever I'm feeling, just off, I pop in my ear pods. I put on some nice soothing meditation music, and um, I use that as a tool. I pray a lot. I'm not religious. That's a whole nother podcast, but I grew up extremely religious. I'm not very religious, but I'm very spiritual. And prayer is also a huge tool for me. Um, you know, just asking for God's guidance. I'm very much in the mindset of everything's already planned out, and I'm just kind of going with the flow, right? I try not to fight against anything, because God has been very good to me, and He has really protected me and guided me. So that's also something that helps me a lot.
Yeah, I heard one of the biggest things that changed my mindset. I love following like Real Talk Kim, Pastor Kim. And I read the other day, she's like, rejection is God's redirection. And I think sometimes when we're so like hard headed or we're so like making things happen, we're trying to push against things that are not for us, and it's trying to protect us. And we're trying to keep at it.
And,
And
and,
it's like,
and for me,
why?
like every time I do go through something that's really challenging, you know, I went through a divorce not too long ago. I changed states. I've gone through quite a few things, um, and every time it brings me closer. So I'm grateful. It brings me closer to God. It brings me, it helps me grow in those moments. And so I am actually grateful for the trials and tribulations that I go through. And having that shift in my mindset has been huge, right? Because it used to be, I'll be very honest, like, why me? I work so hard. I do the right thing, right? And so now I say, thank you. Thank you for this, problem. Thank you for this situation. Thank you for this relationship that didn't work out, because I was able to learn ABC, and I was able to grow, and I was able to grow closer, right? Like, I feel like in that moment, right, you have no one to turn to, and in those moments I turn to God.
That it always works out. you know, it always works out at the end. And even in the moments where we're like, this is the worst
Mhm.
thing ever. Like, I don't understand. So as a, you know, you've got your two babies, they're beautiful. They call
Mhm.
them like the adopted aunts. Um, I know you really prioritize your children and you work like full time. I know if I ever needed anything, you would be there. You're just one of those people where your door is always open. How do you justify like making time for that? Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't know how to balance. I don't know how to balance family and full-time career. I don't know how to balance
Well, I'm going to
friends.
quote you,
Like, what would
Tanya,
you say to that?
because you always say you'll never find balance. So I stopped trying to find this perfect balance because there isn't, right? So I will be very honest. I always feel guilty. I want to spend more time with my kids. But, you know, for me, like, I know that my example is one of the best lessons that they can learn, right? So they're my number one. You know, my world revolves around them. But working as hard as I do, um, you know, I know that that's an example for them, and you know, they're already little entrepreneurs. My daughter had started her own little makeup company, and then Marcella wanted to start a sneaker design company, and like, so I love that, and I can see it. So in those moments, I'm like, you know, I'm working really hard. I do feel bad sometimes that I can't spend more time with them, but I know that my example is influencing them, and it's going to set them up for success in the future. And the time that I do spend with them, I really try to make sure it's quality time. Like yesterday, you know, I was busy all day, but I stopped and I said, Marcelo, come on, we're going to cook together. And to me, like, those are the best moments, right? So I'm teaching him how to cook. I have him on the grill. I have him seasoning the meat. I have him seasoning the potatoes. Like, and those are the things that he'll remember one day. So, no, I'm not a mom that is with them 24/7. I never was. I always worked. But the time that we do spend together is quality. And they're amazing humans. Like, they're just real, you know them. They are great kids. And
Well, they're a reflection of you. I think if you look at people's two things, they're animals. They're animals and their children. Like that's how you see like how well somebody's doing. And I was gonna say, but you said it. I do notice like being around you, you're so present. Like when you're with people, you are so present, and it's not like you have to be there all day. But even if you are there for that 1 hour, that establishes so much more intimacy with a person. Like even when we're together, like you're fully present, you're not anywhere else, and it's really admirable.
And I've worked hard on that, you know, and that's something that is one of the things, one of the self-talks that I do to my, you know, is be present, enjoy where you are right now in this moment. Because I was very much the person that was constantly, I will be happy when I achieve this. I will be happy, you know, when my kids, I'm able to buy my kids this. And then I just realized that I was missing so much. And it's something that I still work on. But I appreciate you saying that, because it is something that I consciously work on, is that when I'm with the people that I care, well, when I'm talking to anyone, I want to listen, because if I listen,
if not with, doesn't care about you.
I want to listen. I want to hear what they have to say, because everybody has something to give, and it's just about listening, you know. And so I want to be present. The phone is really, you know, a bad addiction, and I'm one of them. I'm on Instagram all day long. Exactly.
We're on the phone right now.
I really do try when I'm with my loved ones to be there and be in that moment.
Yeah. And I think that's the greatest gift too. Like people think it's like about materialistic, but it's really about like a presence is such a gift on its own. Yeah. When you're talking about, like you mentioned about priorities, what are priorities? What would you consider priorities for you And you mentioned the difference between like prioritizing. We talked about balance, and you're like, no,
Mm-hmm.
not about balance. It's about priorities. And you also mentioned about the guilt. One thing that I can say, like as an example, because I think the greatest lesson, the way you teach somebody is by showing them and by doing. And this is where I completely admire you on raising two children, being a single mom, and an entrepreneur, business owner, co-partner, like in charge of all this stuff, but you always prioritize your self-care. And I know that's a really, really hard thing for a lot of mothers, let
I
alone
learned
business
very
owners.
early on that if I wasn't good, no one was good around me. I learned that many years ago, and I am I'm the priority. Some people might say that that's selfish, but if I'm not mentally right, if I'm tired, if I'm unhealthy, if I'm cloudy, I can't be the best mother. I can't be the best leader. I can't, fulfill the agreements that I have for my partners and investors. So I prioritize myself, my health, my mind, being self-aware.
Hey, it's Tanya. I'm calling a quick timeout intermission huddle, so bring it in. I'm personally inviting you to our inner circle. It's our monthly VIP meetup with other achievers just like us. Each week, I'm teaching everything you're going to need in order to be successful, to step into the most elite version of yourself. I'm going to break this down play by play, the tools, the systems, the strategies, everything you're going to need in order to operate at higher levels mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically. Look, we're in a season where the idea of full potential just isn't cutting it anymore. It's time to really be it now. So click the link in the show notes and I'll see you in the inner circle. Peace. And what would you say, like, have you noticed, because you said you haven't always been like this, what would you say, like, do you notice like a positive shift that your children saw? Because I think that's the biggest concern that a lot of especially women have, is like the kids are it's gonna take away from the kids, but you're saying it actually adds to them.
I think my kids have always seen me as this entrepreneur. That's all they've known me as. I'm definitely happier here where I am in Florida, and I think that they can feel that for sure. It's always been a priority for me, though, to be my best version for them. So I don't feel like, even though I was going through struggles, even though I was going through a divorce, they had no idea, because I really just made sure that when I was with them, the best version of myself showed up.
Is that where your non-negotiables come in place, like you would say? Like as far as like your workouts, your meditations, like to get you right. We call it like the work before the work. So even being a mom is a whole entrepreneurial lane on its own. I consider mothers one of the top entrepreneurial, like the toughest entrepreneur position to have. I'm not one, but I think if you have that role, that is probably one of the most important roles to have.
Everything that you do affects them. So, and it's not about you anymore, it's about them. But that's actually one of the best things, one of my favorite things about having kids was that it took me out of that, like, me, right? Like, because before that, really, who is it, right? Yeah, you have your parents, your brothers, sisters, whatever, your friends. But when you have a child, you forget all about yourself. You throw yourself in front of a train for them. You forget about all of that. And it teaches you selflessness on a whole nother level, for sure.
And the self-care is a big aspect of being selfless. You're practically saying. I mean, I know this, but this is like, I'm not a mom, so I can't speak from experience. What are some of the, when it comes to, like, say, example, okay, so we're closing off this year, we got about 7 weeks in. What are some ways that you mentioned you visualize your goals, you see your goals. How do you establish when it's time to pivot if you know, like, you're not on the right course? Because maybe let me explain it like this way. Like, say you set a goal, right? and you realize like midway through, you're like, wait a second, I don't want this. Like I thought I did, but I don't. How do you, whether it being a goal for a relationship, a goal for your body, a goal for your business, like how do you know when it's time to
I
pivot?
do.
Do you know what I mean?
Something that I've really been working on, because sometimes I stay too long because I am relentless, right? So it's a curse and a blessing, right? So if I put my mind to something, it's like I've got to do it, I've got to complete it, I've got to be successful at it. And that's just not in business, that's in relationships as well. So I will fight, I will try my very, very best to make things work when they're just not working. So I'm really actively working on that when things just are not aligned anymore, when things are, not making me happy, when they're not fulfilling me anymore, when they're just not in line with my goals, I have to let them go. And I'm actually, with one of my businesses, kind of feeling like that right now, where I just need to make a little bit of a pivot. So I'm always reevaluating, and I'm always just seeing, like, does this make me happy, right? Am I passionate about it? Because if not, what am I doing? Making money, like, I've made money in a lot of different ways, right? When you do something that you are excited about and passionate about, it's 10 times easier and it's fulfilling. And so I have to just keep reminding myself of that, and that sometimes it's okay that if one path that I thought, didn't work out, it's okay for me to pivot and go a different direction. I've let go a lot. I used to be this like goal setter. At the end of the year, I was like, okay, here we go. I would lay out all the goals, and I would have my like weekly, monthly, yearly. I don't like that anymore. Like, and I know there's a lot of mixed views on this. Like, some people say goals are good, some people say goals are bad. I think goals are good, but for me, having them so detailed was not for me. That wasn't the way for me. So
That's a rebellious side in you coming out.
Exactly.
Don't tell me what to do, including myself.
So I have a lot of goals, but I'm always open to the path changing, right? And I'm always open to the opportunities. I'm blessed that I'm always brought opportunities. I'm like, these are given to me, and I'm like, okay, I need to evaluate them. I need to see if they're in line, and then if this is a gift that I'm being, given, I need to receive it. And I may need to change my path a little bit. My goals may need to shift a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. So you said, like, have goals, but be open to the path changing. Is like really amazing. Yeah, I noticed like a lot of people that are overachievers, like we all have that extremist personality. We all have that rebellious trait to us. It's just knowing it and knowing how to work with it, because it's going to be a part of you. It's like, don't tell them what to do. I got this.
I struggle with anxiety, and so I have to really keep myself in check, right? So if I start thinking about, sorry, all the different things, right? And I'm doing as we speak. Oh, sorry, guys.
How's it go? Water break.
I'm doing a luxury.
My partner and I are doing a
luxury flip, and thank you, Mike. Mike brought me some water.
Yeah.
One of my business partners, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. My brownie points.
I'm doing a luxury flip in West Palm Beach, and it's taking way longer than expected. I've got investors that are involved, that are breathing down my neck, and I manage so much on a daily basis that if I don't keep my mental state in a good place, and I don't stay present, and I keep thinking about what if this goes wrong and that goes wrong, I can't do that, right? So I really have to keep that anxiety in check, because I know that it's something, and that's part of being self-aware. I know it's something that easily will come up for me if I don't keep, I don't keep it present and I take my tasks each day and I complete them. If I start worrying too much about 20 steps ahead, that just doesn't work for me. Maybe for someone else it does, but for me, it doesn't work.
Yeah. You mentioned that too. We were having the conversation in the car about like how you've shifted that, like that type of energy, of that anxious, needy energy. And you've noticed that actually that energy will backfire when we were talking about certain circumstances. But the moment that you like learn to like just be calm, collective, like it's all gonna work out, like let me just focus on giving what I can give, like then now people are coming to you. Can you like reframe that like in that way? Because I think people need to understand it's not just about like understanding about the mental, the physical, the emotional, but also the energy that we give off, and it can actually work for us or work against us when we get that in check.
It's honestly been incredible since I moved here in Florida. The shift in my energy, and then the people that I attract, right? So it's just insane, right? So I moved to Florida a year and a half ago. I lived in New Jersey for close to 14 years. I couldn't even tell you the amount of amazing people I have since I've met here in Florida. And I have to say, there's a lot of things that go into that, but I think it really has to do with me just being in a happier space and having such a shift in my energy. And what you were bringing up about that desperate energy, that's another thing that I've had a major shift with, right? So it's like when you're desperate for anything, it runs the other way, whether it be relationships, whether it be friends, or me or whatever, but money. So I feel like when you're chasing money, it's like it goes in the opposite direction. So shifting that energy to, whatever I put out will come back to me. Everything will work out. What's meant for me will come to me. And just being grateful for what I do receive has shown me without a doubt that energy is real. That really putting, time into that and focusing on that and what am I putting out into the world, right?
Yeah.
And people think negative, positive. It's not so simple. Like I think even what you're putting out on social media, what is it that what are you saying? Are you uplifting or are you complaining? Or, like that's why like I stay far, far away from politics. I really, for me, like whatever I put out there, I want it to be inspiring. I want it to be, of course, authentic to who I am. I don't want to, it's not all roses all the time, but the energy that I want to give is something that's going to attract what I want. So if I'm putting out negative rah all the time, I'm going to receive the same exact thing. And I know that, right? So for me, in everything that I do, in all my relationships, in what I put out into the social media world, I have in mind what I want to receive back.
Yeah. And I know that people like make it sound so simple, and it's not, but you really do. I mean, I'm always like stalking you secretly at your stories, but you do. You prioritize your workouts. You have quality time. You invest in your children, and you are present with them. You guys are grilling all the time. I know that when I'm over, you have an open door policy. Not with everybody, guys. Don't be trying to make that home. But you spend time at the beach, like to recenter yourself. And you said you pray, you meditate, like those things, like you don't put off. You actually do, make them a daily or a weekly thing. And I know that when people because right now there's a lot of fear-based mentality. There's way more. I mean, I can feel it, chaotic energy. And people are struggling in silence, and it's important now than ever that you do prioritize those things because they do pour back into you so that you can show up and check your energy. And I see that you actually do a lot of that for anybody that follows you.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love
You
the
and your
beach. I wish I
I get it.
more. I'm having a scheduling conflict with my kids, getting them on the bus, but I love to go watch the sunrise, and I meditate on the beach. It's a really incredible experience for anyone that lives near the beach. Go, just go, and it's a magical place. Or there's even like by me, there's like this pond. It's just so beautiful and like peaceful. And, your surroundings really do have so much to do with your energy as well. Living in New Jersey, I never felt like it was energetically right for me, ever. From the moment I moved there, I didn't like it. I felt off. It wasn't where I was supposed to be. And, it had a lot to do with the climate, like there's so many things. And then I moved to Florida, I'm like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be, with the beach and the palm trees and the sun, and people are actually happy here, right? So it's a very different vibe, and it's a vibe that fits me, right? It's a vibe. Like you said, I'm an open door. Like I'm friends with half of my neighborhood. I really am.
You literally brought Jenny to the block to Florida. I know in New York, I'm like, wow, that's so cool, these block parties. Like, you literally, recreated that whole, Italian family with your community, friends. I know my neighbors. I don't really know any of my neighbors. But that's what I love about you, though. That's one of your powerful traits is you bring people together and you make people feel loved. But you can't do that if you're not in a good space.
Yeah, no, I genuinely love people, and I have found how fulfilling it is to cook for other people, to just make them happy, right? Like you said, bringing people together. I love that. I love to make connections. A lot of people they make connections and they're like, what am I going to get out of this connection, right? I connected you with this one, and what am I going to get? And to me, it just doesn't matter. I know that it'll come back to me. It's unfold, and so I love that. I love bringing people together and creating that sense of community. I think that I was lacking most in my life for so long, and I've come here, and now I have that everything needs some community, and it's really helped to change my energy.
A lot of people don't understand fulfillment, happiness comes from fulfillment. You can't be happy if you don't feel fulfilled. So everybody's chasing happiness, but they're not even looking for fulfillment. And so that's such a huge part. And one of the biggest things too, you mentioned without saying it, but you totally said it by your being and what you've been doing is the significance of changing your environment to change your internal state, changing your external environment, your location, the people you're around, even your career, because you changed careers, totally big change from ballroom owning franchises to getting into real estate. And you just made so many shifts, which, as you're saying, has impacted your internal state and the quality of your life.
It's crazy. They talk about that, if you're in the circle, in your circle, you're the big fish, right? That's how it became for me with ballroom dancing, where I was, right? So, and as soon as I made that shift and I made that pivot and I got involved with an organization called NARA, which is really great, which is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And all of a sudden I started networking with people, really successful people. And my circle started shifting, and I'm like, wow, look, this is possible. This is possible. And it just literally just kept. So that's always my goal is I want to be around people that are doing way bigger things than me. For instance, my two of the people that I spend most of the time, one being Michael, the other one Michael J. Newell, who we're building his brand, which is Learn to Build. I'm actually a partner on that. And yes, we're having an event in
February, right?
That's right.
Friends are always looking out for each other.
being around someone that's doing bigger things, it's just inspiring, right? And so I love that. I really try to surround myself with as many big, I call them like big whales as possible, because it really just shows you that it's attainable. And, you know, like you said, your environment is everything. So your people, you know, where you live, your house, you know, does your home, do you like being in your home? I love being, I moved from a 3,000 square foot house in New Jersey. It was a beautiful house. It was big. I had a big yard. I live in 1,100 square feet right now, and I love it. I love my space. It's you know, designed just how I like it. It feels like home. There's good energy there.
It really is. Like, it's so cozy, and it really is, but it's like you created that.
All
You
of those
did.
things, you know, are helping me. You know, I mean, by nowhere ways where I plan on going yet. But I'm enjoying the process to get there, and but I'm definitely in the happiest place that I've ever been in, for sure.
So there's one thing too, like there's
Ooh.
a bunch of questions. Okay, so this is a great one. People are loving this. I think maybe you and I had we always having conversation on expansion and growth and, you know, things we like to overcome. But what is one thing that you can say is tremendously allowed you to step into a better version of yourself? Like, it's not like learning new skills, but it's sometimes we have to overcome like toxic traits and toxic personality traits that we know are blocking our blessings. What's one thing that you have really worked hard to overcome to really step into a more elite version of yourself?
One of the things I talked a little bit about this, I think, is being present and not, you know, obsessing about the future. And you know, really just doing what I can and being grateful in the moment, as opposed to, you know, when I get here, I'll be happy, you know. So that's one big thing.
That is true. How have you noticed that impact, like your work, your family, the new people that you've been attracting into your life? Like, because people want to know this. Like, what is it? Like, what's the positive? Because the work is horrible. Like, the work is torture and painful. But like, what's on the other side?
Relationships, you know. When I say I love somebody, like, I love them. Like, you know, you and I, like, we joke around, you're my wife, but, like, you are like my wife. Like, I adore you in that same way. And just having, like, you know, when you're good, you're able to, like, give more. And you're able to give, I feel like, more genuine love, you know. And the relationships that I've built have been really incredible because of that shift. In a short time, you know, I have friends that I've known for, you know, I have really long lasting relationships, but I have friends that I've known for a year and a half, and they're just, you're one of them, and they're just deeper, right? Because we have these conversations about being self-aware, and like, we have these conversations that are deep, you know, that really go internal. And we have conversations about energy. They're not just surface relationships. They're not like, oh, hey, let's go to the bar and drink, right? So, and I think I have a lot of those. So, because that was just my way around, right? And so having someone like, for instance, like yourself, say, you know, maybe
I texted you at like 6 a.m.
Right.
I'm like, hey, let's go, girl.
Having those kind of relationships,
like,
it's amazing. It's amazing to have some deep, real relationships, and I feel like that's been one of my favorite things. One of the things that, like, I'm most grateful right now is that I do have a really nice, beautiful circle of friends. It's not a huge one. You know, I don't say you don't have to have a million friends, but I'm grateful that I have a really nice amount of people that I can count on, that I can talk to, that we can have conversations that build each other up and that add value.
I think the biggest thing too, something that I learned, like even through my process of healing with people, is there's like, you know, the people you're attracting is a mirror of you. So when you find people that you really admire, it's like, you're my mirror, I'm your mirror. And when you attract somebody that we can consider like unhealthy or toxic, like that's also a lesson, because those are things that we still need to look at. There's a reason why we brought this person into our life. There's something that they're showing us that maybe we need to work on if it's like undesired. And the things that we love, you're like, wow, I must be doing something right, because I get these amazing human beings in my life.
I can identify certain relationships that I have, the state that I was in, attract those people at that time. And I'm like, oh, that's why they came into my life. And, you know, one of my bad and good qualities is that I like to help people, but there has to be a limit to that, you know. And so a lot of times I like to call it really right? Like, I'm like, oh, come here, let me help you. A project.
Little project.
Right? And
let me build you up.
You're so brilliant. And that's something that I'm working on. And I've gotten a lot from, but I know the times that where I was and how I was feeling and why I drew those people in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't believe it's already been like almost an hour. I want to save this last question. I think it's a great way to close out. But for those people that are watching, because this platform is mostly geared towards women, to help also give women information or just confirmation to elevate their business, their mindset, and their life. But of course, we welcome our men. We love our men's support. What one piece of information, advice, a quote would you leave our audience with for them to feel capable of implementing every single day that they know will like make a positive shift in their life and in their mindset?
Evaluate often, if not daily, who you are spending your time with, who you're talking with, who you're texting with, who you are spending your off hours with. Constantly reevaluate that circle. And, you know, I was actually it was the shark. He was talking about this. Is it Damon? Damon was talking about this weekend.
Damon.
He talks about categorizing people in your life, right? So he had A, B, and C. And A being the people that really, you know, add value and uplift you, right? And then, you know, B being people that they maybe don't take away, but they don't give. And then C being like the takers, you know, the people that all they do is take energy from you. And, you know, it's very hard to do this. I've had to make some of the toughest decisions of my life, to the nitty gritty, but I walked away from a marriage. I have had, you know, to make really tough choices because I knew that I had to change the people that I was around, the environment that I was in. And so constantly evaluating it can be the person closest to you that, you know, it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be your brother, your best friend, your spouse. You know, that's really a toxic person in your life. And, you know, like I said, you're number one. You have to be number one to be able to give yourself to anyone else in a real way, in a genuine way. So evaluate, who do I spend my time with? I love that ABC actually do it. I love that. And that's always mean to, like, I do want to say this. It doesn't always mean that you have to like cancel people out of your life. You know, cancel them, they're out. You know, no. I think that it's sometimes it takes breaks, you know, and give people a chance to evolve. And it doesn't mean that to say you're toxic and I'm dismissing you, you're out, you're cut. No, but you know what? You just distance yourself, you know, and you spend your time in other places, and you just prioritize your energy, because when your energy is right, like you said, we're a mirror. You're gonna attract attract that.
Mhm. That is amazing. That is amazing. Thank you so much for your energy, for your wisdom, for your knowledge today. You're an amazing woman. You're an amazing human being. You're amazing and excel in every single thing that you put your mind to. And I'm honored to have you on today. And most importantly, I'm honored to call you one of my dearest friends, my wife, my.
Thank you for having me on. This was so fun. I loved it.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that we got to celebrate you today and people can hear from you and get to know you and go follow you. Make sure you go, give Jen some love, get connected to her upcoming event that she's been, over delivering. You guys are going to be over delivered in this event in February, and, send her a message for the information. I'll be there as well. And, hopefully this minding my business served you today to elevate your business, your mindset, and your life. And we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you. Bye.